Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. There are people who simply can't see that they're wrong, but nevertheless continue to bend the line. Well, our OP was in a winning position in our first story and managed to defend his point of view. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Let me and my whole family live in your house. I'm currently in the process of moving to a different city. Instead of selling our house, we've decided to rent it out. It's a 1,200 square foot home for $1,900 a month, no utilities included, pets negotiable, ideally 1 or 2 animals. A lady decides she wants to come by and check out the place. Okay, sweet. See you tonight. She comes by, goes through the whole house, throws every door open, and slams every door when she's done. Comes down and tells us, okay, so it'll be me, my mom, my dad, and my aunt and uncle living here. Bear in mind this is a 3-bedroom home, but the 2 spare bedrooms are meant to be offices/rooms for small children. I don't think that many people can live here comfortably, to be honest. CB. No, it's okay. My parents and I will live in the unfinished basement, and my aunt and uncle will live upstairs. Oh, and we have 6 cats and 1 dog. I mean, we could make maybe 2 cats work, but that's too many animals. The pets are non-negotiable. You'll just have to deal with it. I also want you to drop the rent to $1,600 and include utilities. Needless to say, they didn't get the house. They would probably have ended up trashing everything and breaking stuff, be late on rent, not pay it, then refuse to move out when the lease was up. And our second story. Californian Karen versus rural town. So a few years ago, we had this new person come up from LA. She lived there her whole life and fell in love with the great Pacific Northwest. Yay, us. Flannel, pine trees, smiles, coffee fires. Well, the Instagram, Pacific Northwest. She moves into this small house and immediately realizes that this town isn't the Hallmark movie she fantasized about, as none of us are Hunk McChadley, who's rich, spray-tan, toned, and has a D that eats mice. The complaints she made at our town started growing from small first-world issues like, why is the internet bad here, and where's all the wild animals? Gotta go in the forest to see those. Round 1. Pickup trucks and 0 Fs. To begin, she didn't like the loud pickup trucks and harassed the sheriff online to set a muffler sting up, and then she DM'd the plates of offenders. She ranted an, I'm a taxpayer and I demand speech. Cops swung by, hung out, 0 Fs given as trucks were below the legal decibel limit. Also, spoiler alert, almost all of them own large lifted trucks, so yeah. Round 2. Karen Boogaloo. So late August to November is hunting season. Almost everyone's in orange. We see a complaint. I need to report something to the sheriff. I offered the non-emergency number because I thought it was serious, but not enough for 911. Instead, it was to complain that seeing gun racks was offensive and demanded a gun inspection checkpoint to make sure they all had a gun license, not required here, and that they were not automatic weapons, which are illegal to own here and more illegal to use for hunting. Sheriff apparently told her he'd look into it. Never happened and never did. She complained more of the gunshots, triggering her, saying, I feel like this is Iraq. I never served, but this isn't normal. Well, LA shootings are a gain thing. Out in the rural countryside, usually it's hunting, sports, or defending your farm from coyotes, raccoons, dangerous little bee-turds, cougars, or bears. Round 2 was an absolute failure as she didn't end gun violence by mentally ill psychos. You know, the same kind that'll fix your car for a hamburger and cold beer, paint your house and redo your deck for a pizza, effing lunatic painters, mechanics, home repair, and, oh wait, pet sitters too. Like, God, what psychopath would watch and care for your medicine-dependent pet? What loon will drive you cross-county to your medical appointment? Same ones wearing orange, going for non-hormone injected free-range deer and duck. Round 3. California Karen versus logging. So common noise you'll hear is talking tweeters, tool used for sound signals to yarder, landing, and riggers. If you don't know, I'll explain further. Logging here is part of our culture and economy. The taxes from the sales actually go directly into school funding, as well as fund DNR, and brings a lot of jobs to an economy that's relying on tourism more. Our hero decides this madness has got to stop. She came in guns loaded, metaphorically, and listed complaints from operations starting too early in the morning to Jake brakes, a necessary safety device, loud log trucks, and that all loggers can just quit logging and get a real job. She said that we don't need logging as it's a last-century industry and paper is 100% recycled. After being laughed at hard, she got annoyed and tried to hold a protest with her friends in Seattle. This was a backfire as her friends either relied on public transportation or lived too far away, and it was expensive to drive 200 miles out. She then pushed to ban log trucks from using a U.S. highway. That went a bit worse. Kinda hard to shut down logging in a logging-based economy in a logging town where generations tended to the forest. Defeat. So after attacking pickups, hunters, loggers, locals, she finally gave us this long farewell speech and that she's moving and will tell everyone to avoid our town, that we're all a bunch of hate mongers, racist, stupid redneck psychopaths who don't listen to reason. Please say you all threw a party with a banner saying, "Thank God she's gone." And our last story. Bought a company full of entitled employees. I, 48-year-old female, don't come from wealth. This has been a blessing that allows me to relate to people from different backgrounds. I'm CEO of my own company, which started really small and grew gradually into a very healthy structure. I've given 22 years of my life to building the type of business that I wanted. I'll still have some road to walk. 2 years ago, one of my partners and I came across a company whose owner was about to retire. We put our heads together and decided on the pros and cons of acquisition. First of all, I wanted to understand how the company worked, management-wise, and if our own working platform would benefit from it. This was even before we signed an NDA and got insight on EBITDA, etc. We agreed on just getting an appointment and pitching a project partnership. It'd be a win-win situation even if we didn't dive on the buyout. Initially, I was treated super nicely over the phone. We had our meetings, but it was a complete disaster. The company set us up for a meeting with department sub-managers. 3 of them acted really professionally. The senior manager, 61-year-old male, was hostile. There was no discussion on buying the company because it was an internal strategy for us. He quizzed us, berated us, and raised his voice. I quickly identified that he's used to treating his employees this way, and this is how he works. I don't know if he felt threatened by something or if he just wanted to go on a power trip. There was one woman, 56-year-old female, who kept making disgust, twisting her lips faces. To our surprise, the senior manager suddenly changed his tune, mellowed down, and said he wanted the partnership. He even had his assistant, 44-year-old female, assign a date for a full-on meeting with our out-of-state project partners. We confirmed twice, called on everyone, accommodations were paid for, and we exchanged emails towards the upcoming meeting. They canceled the morning of the event. No apology and no reason at all. His assistant denied everything and said we misunderstood even when we brought up our long trail of email conversations. The assistant said, "Let me check with the senior manager," and came back with, "Oh, he says maybe some other time." We went on full survival mode and were able to get a new venue and pelled a shotgun meeting with a willing and helpful company that has been very supportive since the beginning of my career. It all worked out. We tied down any loose ends and launched the partnership elsewhere. COVID hit last year and the company owner was more than motivated to sell. He was no longer insistent on the initial price, and we never told him about the incident because we don't actually know if the people were his teacher's pets or would create any type of interference. The company was sold with all terms satisfied by June 2020. The entire staff was notified after the fact. This is very normal. There was no grand entrance or any miserly attitude on our side. Do you know when a bully is crapping their pants? When they suddenly send you elaborate emails of goodwill and telling you they're elated by the company's new direction. We sat down with each director to hear their concerns and ideas. Nobody was wrecked into offering apologies. The only hard conversations that took place were with the lady making disgust gestures who came in asking if she was going to get fired. No, we didn't. And the senior manager who first tried to suck up to us and attempted to exert dominance later, a desperate bid to retain his fading power. We thwarted their strategy in both cases by demanding they put their perceived grievances in writing. Crickets. Nobody wants to admit to hostile meetings and stepping over boundaries in written communication. We changed most of the structure, cut down on happy spending by the staff, and cut all their royalty treatment bullcrap. We valued their expertise and know their long years on the job turned them into sacred cows, but that was back then. This is now. Nobody got harassed, reminded of their poor attitude or anything. We just took their untouchable status away. Nobody's indestructible. Some employees were let go, but we got new employees for areas that were just underperforming for a true lack of chain of command. Miss Twisting Mouth Lady's department was upgraded and automated. She only needs 2 people working for her, not 6. We discovered she was the senior manager's favorite ally/employee and had a tendency to mirror his attitudes to gain his approval, hence the mouth-twisting and unsavory actions. The senior manager kept his job, but he's no longer allowed to preach religious stuff or give stuff away to his church. We have a corporate responsibility program for that, and any contributions need to be recorded. Nope, you can't just give your pastor our discarded lounge furniture. Nope, you can't rub your PhD in theology in everyone's faces. This shouldn't be your source of power. By the way, the past giveaways were never recorded and were verbally attested. We weren't interested in recovering it because it was years ago. I don't know how he feels about having to report to us, but that's his problem. Also, everyone's required to wear a uniform. We don't need a fashion runway on weekdays. Nobody gets to show off their expensive suits unless on a casual day. So far, we're functioning, but have been effective at disabling their power trips. We never fired them because part of what was going on came from the previous owner not paying attention to these details. He's maybe 87 years old and delegated too much on them. The formerly conceited staff knows they can leave if they're challenged to act sensibly. Good luck starting over. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. We'll see you in the next one.